Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dink Tank Podcast. My name's JJ.
And I'm Graham.
And kind of a short one. I don't know, we've got some paddle news and just some topics we wanted to discuss with some things kind of going on the past week. Obviously, studio is a little bit different. I'm moving some stuff around at the house, so I apologize for the change of scenery, but hopefully we're using most of the side angles, so
Yeah.
that wall won't blend in with this table the entire time. Have you been playing much pickleball as of late?
Yeah, I've gotten to play a good amount, been drilling again. We went and played for like 4 hours the other night. That was the longest I've played in a while, but
we were there for 5. Although you took one break at the end. I ended up playing with our friend for a little bit longer.
Yeah. But yeah, 3:30 to probably 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I think I was telling you that too. I think that's the longest consecutive play session I've done, which was 5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I've played more in one day, but I don't think I've ever played that much because it was back-to-back games. There was no rest really. At most, it was like 5 minutes off.
Yeah, we played a lot.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of filming.
Yeah. Good games too.
Yeah, great games. Our buddy John, and then we had Derek.
Mikey, yeah.
So yeah, it was fun games. I finally have been able to start testing a lot again. Golf is still very much, I'm playing a couple tournaments. I got some stuff coming up, but it was nice. I had a little break again. Girlfriend's out of town right now, so got a little bit more time. And I'm about to be on the road a ton. One thing we're going to discuss at the end of this for a certain trip I'm going on, but I've got some work stuff as well as a little golf trip. I'm playing Pebble Beach this week, so and Spyglass. So yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but we had little controversy this past week on the Pro Tour with a certain ball, and I know we had been discussing this, and you hadn't heard the full realm of this, and that was around the Lifetime ball, which I have actually had these for a long time. They handed these out at the PPA Fun Blue last year, which was like.
It's like
end of August, September. Yeah. So I think they handed them out like a couple weeks before they came out because they just wanted people to start playing with them. And granted, you only really find these at Lifetime facilities.
Yeah.
And I just have some thoughts. So I watched and I heard like Zane did a little breakdown. I know Pickleball Studio did with Chris and Isaac. Isaac gave some of his thoughts from his groups that have been using it. So it's interesting. When we got this, Anthony and I, who was my partner at that one, and then you and I did the other PPA Vegas one at Darling Tennis Center. He's brought this ball out a couple times on outdoor courts, and we've used it, and I didn't think anything weird of it. The one thing I noticed was like, oh, it stays round, like not a ton of bad bounces. But some of the big issues I've heard this week are it's really fast, like it's faster than a Vulcan, and it bounces higher than a Vulcan. And that's kind of been some of the bigger complaints. And the one thing I have not heard, and I texted Zane and Chris about this just because I just wanted to hear, I'm like, have you guys confirmed this? Have you heard this? So since they had given some takes, is this the Lifetime by us is on an old basketball court. They had 2, they converted 1 to 3 pickleball courts. I was going to join Lifetime to have an indoor facility and have a gym, but everyone I know that plays there, 1, their scheduling is terrible. That's the bigger issue. But 2 is the rubber rollout they put over the basketball court, the ball doesn't bounce as much.
Yeah.
So it was my thought when they introduced this ball that this was to make up for the lack of bounce that a lot of their facilities have. Now, it's not every facility. One of ours downtown has a bunch of outdoor courts. I was just in Vegas this last week, and I was playing at Lifetime, and that's where I really got to do a lot of high-level games with this ball kind of for the first time in a while. They had all outdoor courts. It was converted tennis courts into like 10 pickleball courts. They're in Green Valley in Nevada, Las Vegas. So yeah, it's interesting kind of seeing, and a little background for anyone that doesn't know, and I know Graham hadn't heard this when I brought this up earlier this week, but the reason why this is such a big story is Lifetime went to the PPA and MLP and basically said, you're not going to be able to use our facilities unless you use a Lifetime ball. So they went to Vulcan, they renegotiated their contract. Lifetime balls are used at any event that's held at a Lifetime. And I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, actually I might be wrong on this, that the one in Minnesota because I know a lot of the top players don't play that one, and I thought it was because it was on these surfaces.
I think so. I think it is because of the rollout mats.
Yeah, so it's rollout mats indoors, but I know they have a ton of courts. I wasn't sure if that was one of the ones that had outdoor courts inside.
Yeah, I don't know. Ben and Lee also just don't like playing indoors.
That's what I was going to say. When it comes to Ben, he obviously, as we've seen recently with bad lighting.
He doesn't like the lights.
Yeah, he doesn't like bad lighting. I know he's had an eye injury.
Yeah.
So be it. I mean, he's good enough where he can make some demands.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Might be a little annoying at times, but he is well established enough to be able to.
He's earned his right.
Sure. He has earned his right to complain a little bit and have a lot of say.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it comes to that facility, I was like, oh, well, that one's indoors and a bunch of people skip it. So I don't know. It's just an interesting kind of little dilemma with this ball because in a lot of cases, it does a lot of things better.
Yeah.
But the other problem with it, too, is this is not USAP approved. It has too many holes.
Yeah.
So it's over the legal limit. I think this has maybe like 48.
Yeah.
And I think, 42 or 40 is the cap?
I think it's 40.
Yeah. I think
because I think the Pro S1 is also not legal because it has 39.
And what's interesting with that one is obviously some of the holes are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So, and there's more surface area on the ball. I don't know. It's just an interesting dilemma. And one thing that I've always gone back on is the Vulcan ball. Like we had heard speculation that the Franklin ball, the new one that just came out, the FS Pro, which we've had for a while and played with, and that's a fast ball. We talked with Zane about that months ago in our interview. But it's fascinating kind of what's going on with the ball landscape because I swore Vulcan's contract was supposed to be up at the beginning of this year, and then just no one talked about it, and we're still using Vulcans, which you and I aren't complaining about.
And then, I mean, in Australia, they used a Franklin.
Yeah.
So it is kind of all over the place. Like you said, we're not complaining. We've been using a normal 40. What am I? X40.
Yeah.
So slow.
It
feels so slow, especially in Arizona now that it's getting hot.
You can't
it is so slow.
Yeah.
I threw some Duras in my bag again because I was like, it's hot.
Once it gets over 100, I will definitely some of those old Duras that I haven't used. It'll be a good ball in the summer, but just that Vulcan ball is like the perfect speed.
Yeah, I like the Vulcan a lot.
It gets some bad bounces, but like someone was using an SLK competition recently, which is the old Selkirk ball they don't sell anymore. That thing gets they'll get out around the first game. And then the Pro S1, I love the durability of it. The ball just feels like it plays heavy to me. Some people have said this feels heavier than a Vulcan as well.
Yeah.
I can't say I felt that.
I was looking at it. It looks thick. I don't know. Yeah. Like the plastic, it looks like it would be heavy.
I know one thing Zane also brought up was you feel the holes a little bit more.
Yeah.
When you like lost your finger over it. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'll be intrigued if they make adjustments to this ball, like similar to what Vulcan did with those original ones that everyone hated.
Yeah.
But just the ball landscape's still odd.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, there's no perfect ball. Like the X40 is great because they don't crack, but they get really soft, especially in heat, like in Arizona. It's really unusable. The Duras were great, but then they break quickly. They're a little too fast for me, but just for my liking. I liked playing with them, but I'd prefer something a little slower. The Vulcan is perfect in terms of speed, but does get out of round. That frustrates some people. Also, the texture on the ball, I mean, starts from super glossy, and then it gets a little bit softer when that gloss kind of rolls off.
Yeah, it's really weird. That gloss goes away.
I know.
Pretty quick.
That's the only thing other than if they could fix the flat marks on it or, getting out of round. I wish the texture of the ball would stay more of the same. I guess, the Dura is pretty glossy when it's new as well, but it's not nearly as like shiny as a Vulcan is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I just wanted to highlight that because I've had these for a while and I didn't really expect them ever to be really newsworthy to an extent of like the Pro Tour using them. Interesting. Obviously, luckily for the PPA, they don't play by USAP rules fully.
Yeah.
The UPAA is their own governing body. So they're able to make this change because otherwise, it'd be out of regulation. So that's kind of the lifetime ball. But I just want to make sure we covered that because I did have some thoughts on it. And it's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, rolling into the next segment, we're almost halfway through the year, which is crazy. I feel like this year's flown by. I feel like we were just at the Yule event, and that was back in February, which is insane.
It really has flown by. Like, I was even thinking about this with work. I was like, holy hell, like, this has probably been one of the fastest years. And other fun fact too, in a week, or maybe it was this week, has been me for a year on YouTube posting. And it's also been a year of me with my car.
Oh yeah.
I bought my car a year ago.
There you go.
Like, it's crazy. It does not feel like it's been that long.
No.
So this has been a big milestone that I was not expecting. It's not like, turning another year older, but I was just like, wow, putting things in perspective. I'm like, that's crazy. So
yeah, but midway through the year, we're going to go over some of the best paddles that have gotten released this year.
I was going to say, yeah, what would be what you want to do? Top 3, top 4?
Yeah, probably top 3.
Okay. So I'll be intrigued to hear what your top 3 are.
Number 3 for me is the 11624 Vapor, which is crazy that a hybrid got in here for me.
Super popular paddle this year.
Very popular paddle. We started playing them a little later than others, but I've loved this shape and I've loved this paddle. I think not top end of power, probably low end of power, honestly. Mm-hmm. But it's very consistent, very great sweet spot. I love this paddle. I think it's great. So that's number 3 for me. You want to go into your number 3, or?
I gotta give this a little bit of thought. Yeah, I'll do my number 3. So my number 3 is probably the Carbon True Foam. I have absolutely loved the TFG one. I know they have some other stuff that they're going to be coming out with. I know they're also going to be doing, I think, a 4 shape at some point.
Yeah.
But this paddle is, the other thing I think this one kind of stands out to is it's a foam paddle that kind of has done it right. Now, obviously, they have a patent on the way their core is. It's not just a flat slab. So the feel is just a little bit different, as well as that little fiberglass layer that they have underneath to give it just a little bit more. When I hit these at Worlds in November, when the other reviewers first got them, I think we were playing at the Grove. I was a little bit concerned with kind of the feel, and like they were kind of inconsistent. But then once I got the ones that we're going to be releasing, I have not experienced that once.
Yeah.
It's a paddle that it doesn't hit crazy hard with weight. It hits plenty hard. Again, probably high end of all cord, bottom of power, very subjective for people. But this is one where I just like to say, it's like, I hit it hard enough. I don't feel like I can't put a ball away. And it feels more than just like what I would really say is an all court. So I think it toes that line with power, but it probably does find its way a little bit lower, especially some of the paddles that have been coming out as of late. But yeah, just Carbon killed it with this, and I know they're going to keep iterating on this. And I mean, it showed the TFG2 is a super popular paddle.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, a lot of the reviewers are still maining that paddle.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
And I'll do a slight tease. We'll have a little bit I'll mention this again in case anyone skips through the segment, but the giveaway for this month, we are going to be giving away a True Foam. Let's do another question again. So to enter, all you have to do is send Graham and I a DM saying giveaway, and then in that also saying giveaway, say your YouTube username, and make sure you leave a comment down below. I think we're also going to roll this into 2 episodes. So we're going to roll this in. So you can have a second entry next week.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to highlight that since I have this paddle up now. So yeah, I don't know, just super fun paddle. I think just power is probably the one thing that does hold us back for me putting it above some of the other ones on my list, at least currently. But this and the Flamingo were kind of my mains for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just want to highlight that. What's your number 2?
Number 2 and number 1 are like almost tied, probably. Like they're right there.
Yeah.
Number 2 is going to be the Flamingo. And this is my favorite paddle of the year.
Yeah.
When it's new, it's great. The only problem that we've had is it breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, mine lasted 3 months, so it lasted definitely longer than others that we know.
Yeah, I know yours lasted that. Mine, I think, was around 5.5 months. And also my prototype that I used for like 3 months never broke. Although yours had some core crushing issues, mine had a little bit desponding issues, at least it seemed. But I got my new one and I've been loving it. So I have 2 different lists, and we did this at the end of last year, and it'll be interesting come December what my list is for this. the Flamingo is definitely my like favorite paddle of the year personally. But if I were to be objective for what I'd say my like the top 3 for me of worth reviewing everything, that's why it's probably not in my list right now. But if we do a personal one at the end of the year, or if they solve the cores, it'll definitely creep its way into that list for me.
Yeah. So as I said, I mean, this is my favorite paddle. I think it fits my game really well. It's definitely towards the top of power, but it's not the top. There's definitely other paddles that are more powerful, but I like where this one sits. The spin's great. Even on our ones that broke, like the grit was still crazy. The grit did not wear down.
That's what I was going to highlight. And that's one thing. I know they don't do the stare test anymore, but that was another thing that I want to check. And I did look at it after 3 months, and it was astonishing. That top layer of grit that they put over the carbon fiber, it lasts.
Yeah.
Like these paddles come gritty on top of that. This has been one of like 3 paddles where I've been like, wow, the grit is still there after time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've still been loving this. If I had to pick a main, I think I'd still pick this, honestly. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite paddle of the year. It's not the number 1 because it has had some breaking issues.
Yep. My number 2, and I would sub this because we still don't have ours, but they are in the mail currently. But my number 2 is the C45. And I'm saying C45 because I think the elongated for both of us is probably going to be our preferred shape. Although I have been loving this hybrid. There's actually been a lot of hybrids as of late I have been using. There's also a paddle that I can't talk about yet. That is a hybrid. So I've been loving that thing. But the C45 just, again, not the most powerful paddle, hits plenty hard. I just really love the feel of it. It's different, which I think is what really stood out to me. That's kind of what the carbon for me also. There's a lot of great paddles out this year, but I kind of have been looking, especially for like this segment, I want to look for things that are a little bit different, like the True Foam with being an all foam core, but it's unique, it's patented, patent pending, although we're going to see some copycats soon, so it'll be interesting to see if there's any lawsuits. But just that, it's just unique paddles, unique feel, and just good performance. And I know I wasn't a huge fan of this paddle stock, which I definitely highlighted in my review, but throwing weight on the top and on the sides of this, gosh, this is a fun paddle to use. And yeah, the C45 is definitely my number 2 so far.
Yeah, C45 would have cracked, I think, probably if we had this on our next episode, it would probably be in there with the elongated one. This one just coming in at that like 104 swing weight, I was like, I can't even try to get it heavy enough.
Yeah, you like your paddles really heavy.
So it just doesn't, but I did overall for a hybrid. I mean, this was one of my favorite hybrids.
Yeah.
So
what's your number 1?
Number 1's going to be the YOLO Pro 4.
Yeah, you can pause right there. I'll bring mine out as well. I mean, that was my number 1 as well. It's not even just the Perseus. Obviously for us it is, but you can throw the Agassi Pro in this, the Hyperion, the Magnus, the Scorpius especially. I know a lot of people are loving the 16.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like a mod. It's like 3S. It doesn't break. I've had literally no issues.
Doesn't break as easily. Any of these paddles, if possible.
I've had no issues with it breaking or feeling like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, mine didn't even feel like it really
broken at all.
Broken that much.
Yeah, I can honestly say after a couple months, mine still feels very similar.
But
to how I got it.
Yeah, it hits hard. The new foam down here.
Yeah,
it gives it great stability. It's just a great paddle overall.
It's just, yeah, and I know I've said this, which is funny, but I had to choose a paddle for this year, and I mean, objectively, it's basically the same paddle, just slightly improved. My one nitpick is I actually do think I still prefer the 3S. I think the 3S to me is still, or might actually be a better feeling paddle to me, just personally.
Yeah.
That was one thing I noticed actually when it came out compared to the mod. I felt like everything was tighter on it in terms of just my shots. Like I was hitting more of my spots. Although obviously the feel of the mod was just amazing. And then this has more of that, but for whatever reason, hitting the 3S in this, I do prefer that 3S a little bit more. Maybe it's just a little bit more broken in. Maybe I need to spend even more time with this. I mean, we've been playing this for months, but I have been testing a lot of other things. That's not to say I wouldn't use this paddle. I mean, I used it in singles at PPA Mesa, and it was totally fine, and I loved it. It's just these paddles are so similar. If I'm only choosing between feel, I probably would choose the 3S.
Yeah.
But for paddles this year, considering how much I love the 3S and this, it's like, yeah, this is objectively the number one. They're selling the most units. You see them everywhere.
Pros are using them.
Pros are using them, actually. Yeah, it's just, they are everywhere, and Yola is just killing it. And their dedication, all the things we heard at their event in Vegas this year, it's just, they're really doubling down on durability, which again, I've seen a couple break, but like every paddle breaks.
Yeah.
Especially for the top players, like they're going to go through them, especially a little bit here at the top where that seam is. It's like if you hit a ball up there a lot and you hit it hard, it's going to happen. But for majority of players, like this paddle is going to last you plenty long.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe not the top of power anymore. We thought that this was the highest end for, 0.43 on PV core. There's a paddle we'll get to after this that seems like it might be just a little bit higher in terms of power, while still passing. But yeah, this is top of the line for power on the market. And so it's hard not to recommend these.
All right. That wraps up our top 3 for this year so far. But another big theme we've seen this year is all foam paddles. We just got a new one from Gruvn. And then we're going to do a little bit of comparison
with some of the other ones that we have.
The 3 big ones we've seen this year.
There's one more that we have a prototype of, but I don't want to include that yet, because, which is from Honolulu. And I think it's the JFC and the JFC Plus, which are all foam, which are great, but still prototypes. So it just felt a little bit early versus these are either out or about to be out.
Yep.
So, and full transparency on this as well. This is not fully passed yet, but this is closer to final production than the other one. But I just want to put that disclosure out just to make sure in case anything happens with this, because one of their laser paddles had some issues, and I believe they have fixed that now. But yeah, a lot of foam paddles this year. Obviously, it's been a really hot trend, and I know Enhanced Pickleball is coming out with one, which is going to have cutouts.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what Carbon does, if they have any legal argument with that. We know Proton is coming out with something very similar. Have no idea when that's coming out, but we know Charles had mentioned that. We hit a prototype, which definitely is not going to pass, but we know the final production one, they're going to make sure it does, obviously. But out of these, we have the Blue Core from Diadem, we have the True Foam Genesis, and the Labs 008. And I'm going to do a video kind of comparing all of these soon. I keep delaying it because it's like, oh, another one's coming out and another one, and I don't want to miss something. And I'm debating if I'm going to do a dedicated Blue Core video, or if I'm just going to do a big comparison, including it. But just to highlight the Gruvn one first, this is one of my more favorite feeling stock foam paddles. I'd say other than the True Foam Genesis, this one feels the best.
Yeah.
The 008, we were really excited for it. And with adjustments, I think we both enjoyed them. But stock, I think we were both very disappointed.
Yeah.
This paddle feels very, very good to me. Like I said, we'll see if they have to make any adjustments. I don't see, this didn't seem like it hit crazy hard of where it's going to not pass. So I can't imagine too many changes are going to happen. I do know that they have a Kevlar version of this as well. This is the Movin 16 HD, and literally all they have changed is now it says solid foam on it. It has a very similar design. I believe we have heard that the Kevlar one plays very different than this, so it'll be interesting when we get our hands on that one. But overall, I've really enjoyed my time with this. I played this probably in 3 playing sessions, and just to kind of compare where these probably rank, and I don't think any of these are bad. I just want to preface that. We're going to rank these, 1 to 4. All of these I would probably recommend, and we're removing price. We're only strictly talking about how these paddles play and feel. In 4th, I probably have the Diadem Blue Core. Now, I have not been able to hit all of the shapes. They only sent us 2. We got one of the wide bodies, and then we got this one, which isn't quite elongated. I think it's just below it, and it's a 14 millimeter, but this is probably close to the shape I would use. I'd be curious, though, if the 16 would feel a little bit better stock. but I put my weight on the side of this. I didn't have as much issues with my weight staying. I know Diadem said they're fixing this for the retail release, as a lot of reviewers had pointed that out. But just stability isn't quite there. It doesn't hit crazy hard. I've heard really good things about like the 19 millimeter as a control paddle. So that one might place a little bit higher on this list had I had that. But out of these right now, with the ones I have, I'd probably put this one in fourth. Third, I'd probably, it's close. I have really been enjoying the Lab 008 10 millimeter. I put tungsten tape from them all the way around this just because it's so thin and they have really thin tungsten tape. This paddle to me is really fun. It's probably the one I would choose to use if I needed to play a tournament, but the one I probably play best with is probably the 13 millimeter with a lot of tungsten around the side because it just doesn't hit hard. And that was the interesting thing, which I think you could speak to as well. The 13 and the 16 millimeters are just so soft feeling.
They're so soft. It's crazy. I do really like the 13 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Mine has so much weight on it though. Like it has lead all the way here, like a 1 gram strip from here to here. And then it has half all the way across the top. So it's very weighted up.
Yeah.
And I like it. Like it feels good, but it's definitely,
I mean, they start so light, you're able to adjust.
Definitely a lot of modifications needed to get to that point.
And the crazy thing to me too is like that paddle is definitely not a power paddle, but when I put it on my radar gun with weight, it gets up there.
No,
and I was very surprised because it doesn't feel or look like it versus this paddle. I don't even know if I'm hitting it as hard. I did put it on a radar gun. I did not look at those numbers direct comparison before this. The biggest thing to speak on this though is it is so much poppier.
Yeah.
Like this paddle compared does not feel at all like the 13 or the 16.
No.
And with that added weight, I get enough stability. The sweet spot's good enough. So I've been enjoying it. I know we have a lot of people around us that use the 16 millimeter. And a decent amount of 13s. I have not seen any 10s. But just we see enough of these where I'm like, okay, the public, I see a lot of these. It's Selkirk. I'm going to put this a little bit up because I also, again, just a little more pop on this one. I do enjoy it. So I'd probably put this as my number 3, even though it's close. My number 2 right now, and again, pending approval, is the new movement paddle. Just because it plays well stock. I didn't have to adjust it if I'm going to recommend this to somebody. The other thing is, and I know I'm just adding this in on top. My decision based off play, this is still number 2. This also should be the cheapest of the 4. Just want it because all of these are $250 plus except for this one. So if I'm going to do a tiebreaker, if I put the Labs in this, that would probably be it. But the bigger reason why I would recommend this is just it feels really solid. Just the adjustments to the core, the durability, we'd assume, as long as it doesn't disbond, and just like it's weighted correctly. Like even the True Foam, I had to add weight to. So I like paddles that if I recommend it to somebody, they're most likely going to not need adjustments to it, or they're not going to need much, versus the other 3 of these. Like I do think you need a decent amount of weight.
Yeah.
So
even the True Foam, I think you do need.
Yeah. And so leading into that, my number 1 is the True Foam Genesis, which I think out of these 4 would probably be your number 1 as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and I know most people love the True Foam Genesis 2.
Yeah. I
know a lot of reviewers are still maining that.
I think it's the fiberglass, honestly, which we usually don't even like.
Yeah. But it's so much below the face sheets.
Well, and I think too that the foam is so muted that it just gives it some kind of like feel.
Yeah. It gives a little more feel. And also the bigger thing though with this is it's the cutouts. That's why I think I like the move-in so much more. There's something to that. Even the prototype that we have hit.
Yeah.
It felt great. And I think it just gives it a little bit more feel. And there's just more adjustments you can do with weight. And that's another thing I think with this also, with having that fiberglass sheet, it's a little more weight near the core that just really makes it play well. But yeah, so far still, the True Foam is still by far the number 1 foam paddle on the market for me. We'll see if there's, something that's comparable that's at a cheaper price point. Cause that's where if 2 paddles play virtually the same and one's way cheaper, that's one where I'll say price definitely plays a factor of like this paddle is better.
For sure.
But when paddles are, different enough in play and then there's a price difference, that's where I don't like. There is a balance of you have to, take into how much is this really worth it. But if you enjoy a paddle, any price is theoretically worth it. So The other thing with the Gruvn foam paddles is something that I've had for a while, and I've used it a couple times, and I really wanted to highlight was Gruvn's small quart bag. This thing is like the perfect size. I absolutely love it. You fit your shoes in here, kind of opens like the ADV bag, not quite like the kitchen bag across, although it has that back spot so you can have a laptop.
Okay.
It's also got a wall hook, but just this is one where it's a backpack style bag that just kind of has a little bit of everything. So if you kind of don't want a big tour bag, this is a great option. I know we both love the kitchen bag because it doesn't have branding, but honestly, like the Gruvn logo is not huge on this. It's also got, if you want to keep your drink cold or you have some food you can store in there. Yeah. So it's a really solid bag, and I've had this for a while. I've used it a couple times. I'm going to do a bag video still highlighting a bunch of stuff, but I've had this in our show notes to include this when we've talked about some other Gruvn paddles. I just haven't I keep forgetting to bring it up. They also have a full tour bag, so if you want something bigger and you're a big fan of Gruvn, but this is like one of the sneaky bag recommendations that I would give out just because of the size.
Yeah.
Most people have the big tour bag, or they have something like a sling bag, and this is kind of like right in between, and it isn't just a backpack. So this is definitely something to check out, and I just, it's a really, really solid bag, and it feels great, also super comfortable. Gruvn makes great stuff, and like I said, I mean, they make a lot of affordable products as well.
I think this comes in at $99, so it's not bad.
So I mean, it's way cheaper than like a kitchen or ADV bag. And some of the other ones we've seen on the market. But yeah, just want to make sure I highlighted this finally. I've had this for a couple months, and I've used it probably 5-6 times for a couple play sessions just to see how it feels. And I've really enjoyed it. It has like every compartment I need, and it's small because I don't love like overly big bags. But yeah, so shout out Gruvn. Thanks for sending, like I said, that new paddle, and I've really been enjoying this bag. So I think that wraps up our foam. We've got one more segment that I want to start making more of a regular thing, and that is in between our podcasts, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, just depending on our schedules. What is your favorite paddle that you've been playing with since the last podcast? So we'll just call it, what's your favorite paddle of the week?
Yeah. So you got it a little earlier than I did. I got it earlier this week, and I've been playing with it a decent amount. And that is the newest edition from Friday. I really like this paddle.
I can bring mine out as well.
This is another paddle that it does come in very light. I probably need more weight. I have weight from here to here, but I need some more on it. Overall, I mean, for a Gen 3 paddle, I mean, it's the best price you can get.
Oh, by
$99.
I did see that there was one other company, and I don't know because sometimes we get comments from companies that it's them. But a subscriber did highlight there was one other Gen 3 company that had a $95 price point, which was interesting because I saw in a promo from Friday a $95 price point on the Friday paddle.
Yeah, for the first week or so. I think
so I'm wondering if they're doing that so also they can claim it if this other company is out there at that price. But still, regardless.
Yeah, great price no matter what. It's definitely not top end of power. It's probably, I think it's probably a power paddle still.
I think with weight it is.
With weight, yes. With weight. Sorry.
Because these paddles, 110, I think, swing weight stock?
Yeah, something like that.
Super light.
It was really low for an elongated. I would say with weight, it's probably bottom of power, right around that carbon. So whichever way you want to flip the
Either
carbon,
either high end of all cord or bottom end of power. Yeah,
exactly. It's right in there. I only say that because I would say it's right above the True Foam because I was playing with the True Foam again, and I was like, I got to put something into this.
Yeah, I would agree with
this one. I feel like I can put things away fairly easily.
Yeah,
I drove with it for a couple hours this morning and played with it the other day. I really like it. It reminds me kind of the C45, where it's like it has a really good sound, a really good feel. And it feels like you're hitting maybe harder than you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes too.
That sound is a huge part of it.
Huge sound, huge.
Especially indoors. When we were playing at center court the other day, that thing was ringing in our ears.
Yeah. It was actually not great. But
no, outside it's not an issue at all.
Outside is not an issue. I'm really loving this paddle, especially for the price point. I think it's a great buy. Yeah.
And I mean, we've been a huge fan of Friday paddles for a while because of that 2 for $99. I mean, for any beginner couple, best friends that want to start playing, it's the easiest recommendation.
Yeah,
it's paint grit, but 2 good paddles for $50 a piece is a great way to get in and figure out to make sure you actually, want to play pickleball. And I think it's just a great entry point. And then now with the Fever and with the Challenger paddle, if you want to stay loyal to Friday, it's like you have 2 great options that just a little bit more to then get even a higher end paddle.
I mean, the Challenger and the Fever, you could use that.
Yeah.
In any level.
And I mean, they do. They medal and place in what they've. Yeah. I mean, one team plays in 4-5 and the other one plays in 5-0.
Yeah. We watched Scott, and I don't remember their pro's name. I always forget. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we watched Scott play Andre, who's with Proton.
Yeah.
And
who's the 5th ranked junior?
Yeah. 5th ranked junior in the world. He's like a 5'7".
Yeah.
They beat them in 5-0 and won gold with this paddle.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's plenty good.
It's plenty good. You can definitely win with it.
And the one thing I will still note, which we've heard multiple people say, this grip is terrible, though. That's the only.
I took it off.
I do love the color of it, but these ribs, I just wonder if it's the transition from tennis, if that's what they're trying to get. Because obviously, I mean, like they're players, like they know what they're doing. So there has to be some reason why. Maybe I wonder if that end of the market enjoys this grip more. But for higher end players, I can't imagine anyone would want to keep this.
Yeah, I took it off immediately.
And it's not that the texture is bad; it's just the ribs.
Yeah, no,
it's just it sticks out too much.
Yeah, but they're too defined for sure.
Yeah. But just overall, I have really, really been enjoying this paddle as well. I will be dropping a review on this shortly, if I haven't already by the time I've posted this.
Yeah.
But yeah, just huge shout out to Friday again. I mean, this is one we said in the last segment, I am not one to say, oh, this paddle is at this price, so it makes it just infinitely better. But this paddle at $99 or $95 for the first week, like this is one where I'm like, okay, price is a major factor for like picking this one up. Like for this price, it is so good. And the other one that I've really been enjoying as well in that, which is $130, that new Saga, I know we touched on it last week.
Yeah.
That Saga 14 millimeter long handle is so good.
I have that one right here.
Well, that's perfect then, if you want to hand that to me, because my favorite paddle of the week is unfortunately one I can't talk about.
Yeah.
It's a new hybrid that's coming out. I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. So I'll tease it, unfortunately. So if I were to choose one, it'd be that. But for one that I can talk about, my favorite of the week probably is the Vatic Pro Saga, which is a huge turnaround for me, considering we were not the biggest fans of the 16.
No.
But I think, as we've highlighted multiple times, the hype around that paddle, I just don't think lived up to expectations for us, because so many people were loving that. This is what I expected 16 to be.
Exactly.
And this is just a very, very solid paddle for the type of performance I'm wanting. And again, I haven't even needed to add weight to this. I probably will, but this is one where I just pick up and I play well with it.
Yeah, it's a great paddle.
So shout out Vatic. I mean, the Prism's still so relevant too.
Yeah.
But this is probably, if I were to recommend a paddle to people, this is probably now
I'm excited for them to go back to Gen 3.
Number one recommendation.
Get the Oni back.
I know. That's still in that garage over there.
I know. That thing was crazy.
Yeah. But so that's probably my number one for this week. So shout out Vatic Pro. So
another paddle that's been making a lot of waves this week, the Ripple is back.
Yep.
For the 5th time.
Yeah, something like
that. A paddle we've been talking about for a year since you started your channel.
Yeah.
It was literally coming out, I think.
It was supposed to, at least.
I think it was coming out the next week. And that was the 16 one that got banned immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like
because the Oni. That was around the same time.
The Oni, and then the Ripple never got to come out.
And the original Gen 3s then too.
Yep.
That's all 3 of those. Yeah, that was a big time, like a month and a half after me starting.
Yep. And then right when we started the podcast, it was back to Ripple's coming out. This one is actually coming out. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, they worked very closely with
USAP.
This one
has to come out.
We highlighted it last week on our pod.
Yeah, I think this one's definitely going to come out. They got a new shape. This one.
Yeah.
This is a new shape. They got an actual hybrid. This is their elongated curve top. Hyperion shape, and then
they still have the wide body
R2, and then
I just was going to highlight quickly Design's pretty similar. I mean, it's just basically the V2 is added on the side. And they made the R2.14 a little bit smaller. But just as a refresher, in case you didn't watch last week, all previous models of the Ripple are no longer, they're all sunset. So it's only going to be the V2 to get rid of any confusion. And just play testing both of these, I miss the feel of the original. I know everyone's been saying it. Just the original one feels so good. The power's about the same. The swing weight on the new one's higher. I think on this one it was about 4 or 5 points higher, but it is a little disappointing with that. You can still kind of see the waves on the new one. It's a lot more prevalent. This is one of I think the beta, not the alpha. But yeah, I am happy these are coming out though. But I just kind of wanted to show the differences between the R2. The main one that everyone's loving, and I 100% agree with, it's the R4. The R4 is stealing the show. It has that lower swing weight, which is more similar to what the R1 used to be. Put weight all the way down the side. And it has a decent sweet spot with the weight.
Yeah.
The R1 to me
the sweet spot's very narrow. It's
so narrow. The stability's terrible. And it just doesn't feel as good. It's just very abrasive when you hit the ball.
Yeah.
The R2 and the R4, much more kinder on that touch and feel, and especially with weight on both of them.
Yeah. This one's just hard because it's already comes so heavy.
It already comes so heavy, and the amount of weight that I would put on it, it's pushing a limit where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to use this anymore. The one thing I will say, though, is I think the power is pretty much on par. My tests, it was going back and forth, which one hits harder.
Yeah.
They were pretty much the same. So I don't think we've really lost anything there. One thing that people have been highlighting, though, is that these are heavier compared to the old ones, likely to help with the durability. I know they've reinforced it so that foam doesn't expand and hopefully doesn't go out of spec if it breaks in. Yeah, if you're going to buy one, it's probably going to be the R4 or the R2. I really want to see an R3 shape. We still haven't seen that.
No.
Because I know they teased one originally with the old ones.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know an R4 was coming. So that's just one thing I'm a little disappointed it's not launching with. So I hope we do see it. I'll be very intrigued what the swing weight is. Because I would have to imagine that the R3 would have slightly better stability than the R1.
For sure.
Just with the way it would taper in the top. But yeah, if you love the original R1, I think this one, it might be a little bit of a disappointment, personally, just with the amount of adjustments and the weight upgrade. If you had the original R2, because I know with the new trade-in, and just as a refresher, if you don't know this, is basically, I think, up until June 15th, if you bought an original Ripple, you can submit your paddle with the serial number and your name to Ronbus if you're a Connect member, and you get the new paddle for, I think, $140, and no discount codes can be applied to that. So you get it for $140, and you get to keep your original paddle. But it is sunset, unfortunately. But if you play rec and people don't care, that's a topic I think we want to get into shortly, just with rec, kind of the way things go with that. But yeah, if you have the R2, I don't think you're going to be crazily disappointed. You might miss a little bit of the spin, and part of that might just be either the waves being more prevalent on the old ones or the weight being lighter. But yeah, just the R2 to R2, I don't think is going to be as crazy as the people that are going to go R1 to R1. I could be wrong. It'll be interesting to see when people get their hands on them, because I really tried to like this R1. I played against an APP pro in Vegas with it, and I could not get a return back. And ironically, the paddle I switched to was the Proton Flamingo. I switched back to it, and just the stability and the weight of the paddle in terms of it I can just block with it being Gen 3. Then also, not that this isn't, I guess, I don't know. Just the stability of that paddle is so much better. I was also playing with stock. I then did mess around with weight. It did make it better. Yeah, if I had to choose one, it's been the R4. And it's been interesting as I keep teasing, there's a lot of hybrids slipping into my bag right now. So it'll just be an interesting thing kind of the back half of this year if the hybrid ends up being my main. I don't know, but you finally got a lot more hands-on with these. What was your opinion on them?
Yeah, I played with the R1 mostly. And like you said, I liked it. I mean, like you said, power's good. It's just that sweet spot is very narrow.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to mess around with it more, get some weight on it. But I mean, the R4 is good.
Yeah.
Like you said, more stable. You're able to put weight on it. I like really heavy paddles, but I like being able to choose where I put the heaviness of it, not come really heavy stock.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure these paddles are going to be continued.
Yeah, they're going to do great.
And I know they're going to still probably sell out just because people have been wanting them for so long. And I think there were so many Connect members that bought them originally that there's going to be enough of a base that buys them at launch. So the release date on this for the public is May 30th. And I believe these already were available on the 15th or 16th of this month for Connect members through that trade-in program, or if you didn't have one, you were still Connect members. I know we have a lot of local friends that bought one of the other ones just cheaply so they could become a Connect member and still weren't able to get a Ripple because they just sold out so fast. But it'll be interesting. I'm very intrigued to see how many of these we're going to see at the park, just because I think the name alone is going to have a lot of hype. And again, we teased it earlier. A lot of these tests are hitting harder than the Yola Pro 4.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be the fastest paddle, and that alone,
it's definitely going to get sales.
That alone, I think, is going to be enough for a lot of people, even if it's, in our minds, maybe not quite as good as a Pro 4. The one disappointing thing is they did raise the price to $280. I think they're originally going to be like low 200s, 250, but I mean, they've gone through, just certification hell.
I get it, yeah.
And just how many losses they've taken probably on previous paddles they've had to take back, or like even the original 16, all of those they couldn't sell. So like, I do get it. They're a small business, but just, I wish they were coming in at like at least 250.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, I do think though, they're going to have discount codes at least in comparison to a lot of the other brands that aren't at the 280 mark. So
yeah,
be on the lookout for these. I'm definitely going to be, keeping my eye out to see how many pop up at the park, because there's still a couple betas and alphas out there that we have a couple friends using. So it'll be interesting to see if they end up upgrading.
Just kind of wrap things up. You got some travel coming. You're going to play golf. You're going on a work trip, and then you're going to Florida.
Yep.
You're going to play in the Nerdy Tourney.
Yep.
How you feeling?
Undecided. And the main reason it is, you've asked me, like, what am I going to use? And when we were at center court the other night, I brought out the three the only one I didn't have was the Fat Boy. As much as actually I do, that's one of the wide bodies I actually really enjoy. It just isn't going to be the one I'm using this week. I know I've teased about using hybrids, and this is one of my favorite, because I mean, I love the Joker. So purple and green is right up my alley. I'm probably not going with the hybrid this week, at least not the Invader. Was so positive. I asked for a new Shogun. I'd been using it. I've been breaking in. I've been loving it. But I tried adding weight to just get a little bit more plow through. And just the paddle's already kind of heavy enough. Like, I like this paddle stock, but I just wanted a little bit more. And when I added weight, I could not find a combination I liked. And I mean, I started with like 3 grams on the side, down to 2, 1.5, 1. And I ended up taking all of it off by the end of the night.
Yeah. Now,
I was using a lot of lower swing weight paddles that day. So that might have been hurting me, because I mean, we tested so many paddles that day in that 5 hours. But that last hour and a half, I wanted to actually start practicing for Kyle's sake of using the paddle I'm going to have to use. So it might still be the Shogun, but at the end of the night, you kind of had teased it. And then midway through a game, we were playing with one of my friends. I looked over at you and you were like, you already knew.
Yeah.
And you handed me the filth. And then after the end of that game, you were like, you should use that.
Yeah.
And I think your logic was that because this one's a little bit lighter, I can add weight and be a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah. That, and then it's just, the titanium just makes it softer. It makes it feel softer.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about feel earlier with the Pro 4s and stuff, it's like, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just the feeling connected to the ball.
But the weird thing with that though is just like drops, and my dinks felt so good with this.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so nice hitting my angles with this paddle, like not popping a ton up. Wasn't doing that with this either, but just the feel with the Shogun's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminded me how much I really enjoyed this paddle when it came out. But then it also reminded me why I didn't end up maining it, which was just power. And I know they're working on something with that. But yeah, I'm still undecided, to be honest. I'm probably leaning like 60-40, 60 going with the Phil, 40 going with the Shogun. But that's still to be decided. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think Kyle and I have a pretty good shot. And speaking of, I know we wanted to close this episode out with just going through some of the matchups. I know I saw some of the other podcasts doing this. I don't want to do a full tier or anything like that, but just I wanted to highlight a couple of the teams that we thought were interesting or maybe we think have the best odds.
Well, so you're playing with Kyle.
Yeah.
We played with Kyle in Vegas a little bit. How you feeling about that?
Well, the biggest thing, which I want to give him props for because I haven't seen him in person, but been tracking. I know he's gone through a little bit of hardship. So I'm glad he's getting through that. Seems like he's past that. Everything's kind of, wrapped up. But on the positive side, I think he said he was down like 50-ish pounds or something like that. So like, that's awesome just for him personally.
Yeah, he's been killing it. He's been working out a ton.
Yeah, I know he's really been dedicating to that and trying to get back in crazy good shape because obviously he has strength. Like I've seen him lifting before all of this, but now that he has that strength and he's going to be a little bit quicker theoretically, I think he's joked. It's going to be exciting to see him in person.
Yeah.
And I know he joked, is like, I'm going to be happy about that. And I'm like, I was happy with how you were before. I mean, he is a fun player to play against. It'll be fun playing with him. I think our games should match pretty well. I know he mentioned saying he wants to play the right side. We'll see if that's what we end up deciding on, whether we play straight up or we do stack. Because I am usually more comfortable on the left, but I've been playing with some better players as of late. So I've been getting stuck on the right and I'm fine over there, especially if I can get carried. But it's going to be interesting. I definitely think we're probably one of the most level, equal teams in terms of partners.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that could really help us because I don't think one of us is going to get crazily picked on.
Yeah.
Versus some of the other teams. I know that's...
Well, I mean, if they start trying to pick on Kyle's hands, they're going to lose. So
exactly.
It's not going to be close.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I think your games fit really well. Yeah. So, what teams do you think are interesting? I have a couple that look interesting.
Let's start with the highest combined duper. And that's Braden from Pickleball Effect, and I think Matt from Matt's Pickleball.
Yeah. I
haven't played with Matt, so I don't know. Some of his gameplay, like he looks decent. Like he looks solid. And Braden is just above a 5.0, I think.
Yeah.
Braden's like fundamentals, he is very solid. The only thing I think that's going to be interesting, and again, this is just assuming going off of Matt's duper, is I don't know if Braden is aggressive enough to cover enough for Matt.
Yeah.
If those dupers are accurate. So if Matt gets picked on or the balls that Braden gets, it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic. Yeah. I could see those two being very solid together. I don't know how tall Matt is. He seems like he's a decently lengthy dude.
Yeah.
So between both
Braden's
of them,
tall.
That's what I'm saying. So between both of them, they'll have a lot of surface covered.
Yeah.
But yes, that's my first thought there. The other one which is who I think is arguably the best player, is Will. And that's just because he doesn't have to try. And he is just, he was cooking everybody in Dallas at Worlds when we were at the Grove. He was like in Crocs, which I know when he was the co-host of the Pickleball Studio, they used to always joke about that. I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
Now he's playing with John from Speak Pickleball, and I've been texting John a ton, and John's like, I am not good. So if that's the case, that's a good equalizer. So I'll be intrigued because
we'll see.
If John's decent, I am terrified of that team.
Yeah.
The only thing there is neither of them are very tall. At least I don't think. John didn't sound like he was very tall from what he's been telling me. And then Will's not very tall, but Will is so fast.
Yeah.
And just again, he might be the most talented player there. So yeah, it'll be interesting. What are some of the highlights that you saw from some of those teams?
I think Chris and Rafa could be pretty dangerous.
That's true.
That one, looking at that, I was like, that's another one of those teams that was like, that could be pretty even.
Yeah.
I think Lewis is playing with one of the 5.0 guys.
Yeah.
Which we'll see. If Lewis plays
like how he played with me in Austin at the Adidas event, they're losing every game. I know I told you this off camera, and
he played pretty well when we were in Vegas.
I know. For context, I joked with Lewis. Before we had played together, and we played a couple games together.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I watched you on camera, and I saw you in Vegas. You are way better than your duper, because they always joke about how low their dupers are.
Yeah.
And then we played literally right after I said that together against two people. It was Jack from Iced Coffee Hour. He was there with me because he was in town. And then I think it was Rafa. It might have been Justin, though. I don't know who Jack's partner was. But again, pretty, like, no one was 5-0 on the other side. Dude, Lewis could not hit a ball, and just everyone was heckling him. And I'm like, that's what this environment's going to be like. So I'm so intrigued to see how he is. I absolutely love Lewis, but yeah, he's going to need to prove it to me. Yeah. But it definitely is going to help that he's with the 5-0 with him. So, yeah.
And then, I mean, one team that we talked about that just, it could be real good or real bad. Dustin and Aaron, we haven't played with Dustin before, but
see, based off of footage, and again, a lot of this, because we haven't played with a lot of these guys, but like based off Dustin's footage, he looks very sneaky good.
Yeah. Aaron,
who we've played with a lot, is either one of the best players on the court or will be missing everything, but not missing things like whiffing. He will just be hitting the net because he switch hands. Like he's lefty, and he'll just all of a sudden start hitting balls right-handed. Like,
but not like he's trying to hit right-handed badly. It works.
Got power on. Yeah. Oh, he rips the ball, and he likes poaching too. So
from no one knows what side.
They're probably the biggest wild. It's infuriating trying to pick on Aaron because like I'll speed it up one way, and all of a sudden it's just in the other hand, or I think I got a dink past him, and it's fine. It's infuriating and sometimes he's holding it in his right hand too. So I'm like, oh, I can go to left, and he switches back to his main and just absolutely kills it. And he's got a pretty good serve too.
He does.
Yeah. He can hit that corner. So that's definitely a team I am so excited to see how they play together, because I think Dustin might be a little better than his duper, and Aaron can play significantly better than his duper.
For sure.
Especially if, he's complimenting somebody else. So
for sure.
Who else we got? I know Isaac is with Sleaze, I think, which is kind of an unknown. Isaac's just super solid.
Yeah.
And just big dude, plays a ton, 5-0. I just don't know Sleaze, so I don't know how that's gonna be. I know the all drive, no drop guys got paired together. Yeah. Don't really know either of their games outside of watching some gameplay, so that's gonna be one we're just gonna have to see when we get there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Any other ones that you saw highlighted? I know we looked at this and we're just kind of
I don't know. Those were the two. The Chris and Rafa and Aaron and Dustin.
Oh, yeah. Chris is so solid, and he's just sneaky with some of his shots. And I've played with Rafa enough where he's also can be sneaky good. And I think that's going to be they will complement each other pretty well. Because I think Chris, whether he's playing left or whatever, if he's taking like 60% of the court, and also Chris's lobs, that's what you have to look out for. Chris loves lobbing it. So
yeah.
How many Nasty Nelsons do you think there's going to be? I want to take a bet on this. Over, under. What do you think the line is?
Probably.
There's a lot of teams.
There is a lot of teams. 7.5.
So I wanted to go 5.5, but I'm like, there's going to be so many games. Because the only thing in my mind is, as soon as one happens and all of the cameras are out, everyone's going to be like, I don't want to get hit. So everyone's going to be thinking about it, but your mind's going to slip at some point. And people are going to be wanting that highlight reel. I'm going to say, I think 7.5 is a good line. I'm going to take over.
Yeah.
You want to adjust it, or you think?
No, I think that's good.
You think over 2, or you think under?
I think 7.5 is good.
All right.
Yeah, I think over is good.
Yeah.
How many times do you think Lewis is going to get hit? Get attempted. How many times?
No. I want to say hit. I think Lewis is going to get hit 6 times.
Oh my gosh.
Well, are you talking about Nasty Nelson?
No, I'm talking about Nasty Nelsons.
Oh, no. I think, okay, that's a better question. I think there's going to be 8 attempts on him.
8 attempts.
But in terms of body bags or Nasty Nelsons, I think he's going to get hit at least 6 times. I think everyone's going to be getting hit a ton.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to want those highlight reels. But I think Lewis is going to get a lot of them.
Yeah. Just picking on Lewis now.
Yeah. Everyone loves Lewis. So, it's going to go both ways. I know the Pickleball Blast, he did a great highlight reel for tagging everybody. And he did a little heart next to Lewis's name. And he just, in our Discord, he was just giving everyone a little hard time. He's like, you're just jealous you didn't get a heart. And I'm like, I would have done the same thing had I done a video like that. So
yeah, for sure.
That's
about everything for today.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm going to be playing a lot of golf, so I'm just hoping. Luckily, I'm getting in early, so I'm going to get like a day and a half before, so I'll be able to kind of get my pickleball game back. I just need a stretch. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to be on so many planes with work and golf.
Yeah.
Like I went and hit balls today after work, and I was like, oh my gosh, my legs are sore after the pickleball, and I lifted the other day too. I was like, oh. But Yeah, I'm so excited. The content's going to be great. Hanging out with the guys are going to be great. I wish you were coming.
Yeah.
But hopefully next year.
Hopefully next year.
I know and for context also, he could have been invited. He just has work.
It works crazy.
His
busy season.
Yeah, it's busy season for him. So, but I think that's all. So thank you guys for tuning in. Also, just a reminder, the giveaway has started. So drop your comments, shoot us a DM with your question, or sorry, not your question, with your username to Graham and I. I'm at @VJJPickleball on Instagram.
And then I'm just Graham.McLemore.
Yeah. And you can DM either both of us or one of us. And if you do it this week, you can also do it again next week. You'll get 2 entries. And then the podcast after that will announce the winner. I know Ethan won last week. His paddle shipped out to him. I know he was super stoked to have won. So congratulations again to him. And maybe you could be our next winner of the Carbon True Foam. And also, you can choose any shape. So you can pick the 1, 2, or the 3.
Cool.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you guys.